Good evening, and welcome to Wednesday Night Live. Um, Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Happy middle of the week and the middle of whatever is going on in your life. Our intention in being here is that if you need a little lift, if you need a little faith, if you need a better understanding of your relationship with Spirit, that's what we're here for. And I would like to think that in the next hour, whatever it is you need will be met. That's why we're here. We're kind of a spiritual spa. We'll help you feel better if you're feeling bad, and we'll help you feel even better if you're feeling fine. It's all about what you need. So, in order to kind of set it all up and have us all playing off the same page, I'd love to have you repeat after me, if you would. There is a creative, motivating power in the universe.
There is a creative, motivating power in the universe.
It is the intelligence
It is the intelligence
and the power
and the power
behind all of creation.
behind all of creation.
It is the life within me.
It is the life within me.
I know it.
I know it.
I feel it.
I feel it.
I believe it.
I believe it.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And so
There we go. So, how is everybody tonight? How are you feeling? How's your spirit? How's your body? How's your mind? How's it going? How's it going? You know, there seems to be a whole lot of chaos in the world right now. People are fleeing the violence in once stable countries. Civil war is threatening in a lot of places. There are people using assault weapons to satisfy personal grievances. Hackers are blackmailing corporations just because they can. What's going on? So, my question for tonight is this. As the pandemic in America seems to be slowing down, people keep talking about returning to normal. And by normal, what most people really mean is returning to the way it was. So, think about that. Is that what you really want? To return to the way it was would be to wipe out whatever you have gained or learned from the past 15 months. Personally, I don't want to return to a time when I didn't know what I have learned from all of this. So I have two questions for you tonight. The first is this. What have you learned about yourself, about your family, about your thinking, about your world? What have you learned from the past 15 months? Hopefully, with all of the drama and all of the sacrificing and all of the opportunity, we've learned a great deal about ourselves and about our world and about what we really want to see in this world, what we really want to experience, what we really want to be part of, and perhaps what we don't want to be part of, what we don't want to return to. There's been a lot of opportunity for all of that. So I want you to think on that for a minute. Just let it kind of roll around in your head. But what have you learned about yourself, about your family, your community, about your thinking, about your world? What have you learned from the past 15 months? Hopefully none of us has gone through this experience without having learned something. What do you think? I'd like you to mull that around, and I'm going to chat for a little bit, and then I'm going to ask you to, well, I'm going to actually ask you 2 questions, I think, tonight. So that's the first one. The second question is this. Since regardless of what some say they want, which is just to go back to the way it was, we really cannot step in the same river twice. So things have changed. The river's moved on. There are things that can look the same but probably won't be the same. And what would you like the new normal to look like? So what have you learned? And what would you like the new normal to look like? If you could wave a magic wand, if you could have it any way you want it. And what I'd like to talk about is what we can do to affect change that is lasting and beneficial, and how can we be a beneficial presence in the new normal? How can we be brighter and stronger and more aware and more involved in life? I think we're all probably agreed that whether we are talking about politics or division or racial injustice, the problems are in fact systemic. And Seth Godin, and you know how much I enjoy Seth Godin says that systemic problems demand systemic solutions. First, he says, we have to pay attention. Well, that makes sense. If we don't pay attention, we'll miss the whole thing. And then we miss the bus. Then he says we need to acknowledge that a solution is possible. Well, of course we do. If we tell ourselves there's nothing that can be done about it, well, then nothing will be done about it. We need to acknowledge that there is a solution possible, even if we don't yet know what that is or see a way toward doing it. And then he says we need to commit to the long, persistent road to altering the status quo. See, that's where a lot of us get bogged down, isn't it? The long, persistent road to altering things as they are. It's kind of like, well, if I could just send a check to it, or if I could volunteer one day, but a long, persistent road. Well, you know, it's been a long, persistent road to get us where we are, and it's going to take another long, persistent road more than likely to alter that. The world, Seth said, is forcing us to pay attention to lingering problems more urgently than ever before. Urgent problems are too important to earn only a moment of our attention. Important projects demand that we keep showing up. That's that long, persistent road. To make the change we seek. Showing up, and showing up, and showing up. At the root and at every turn, consistently working toward systemic solutions. When we think about the problems we've solved as a community, this is the way it always happens. Making things better over time with focus. Persistent commitment doesn't lower the urgency of the moment. It acknowledges it. And that's why I love Seth Godin. So the question then becomes, I think, who shall we be? Shall we be whiners and complainers? Shall we be those that talk about all the problems but aren't part of the solution? Who shall we be? Someone once wrote that if Walt Whitman, who wrote I Hear America Singing, were to return today, he would have to write I Hear America Whining. How sad is that? So let us not whine or just complain. Let us roll up our metaphysical sleeves and get to work. Let us be large enough to get past our grievances. Let us care enough to be involved, to give some portion of our actual lives to making a difference. And let us not litter our minds with debris from the past that is so easy to do, but rather let us enlighten our minds with our visions for the future. Who do you want to be? What do you want your world to look like? Okay, so let me take a moment and just be with all of you because you just popped up on my side screen. Prayer is happening, Brenda. Prayer is happening. Good evening, Jefferson. Woohoo, Kirk! Glad you're here. Oh, I'm thrilled that you're here. Thank you, Jennifer. That's absolutely the way to go about it. And in case you're wondering, Jennifer and Kirk are married. I know that as a fact. And they're allowed to talk to each other like that. In fact, I'm thrilled that they do. They're just lovebirds, those two. So, my friends, let's talk about the question for tonight. Let's take a look at it. Let me repeat it. I've got two questions actually, but let me repeat the first question. What have you learned about yourself, about your family, about your world, about your community, about your thinking? What have you learned from the past 15 months? Because a lot of people are saying they want to return to normal, but what they really mean is they want it to return to the way that it was. And if we return to the way that it was, it's going to wipe out what we've learned. We've got to do something with what we've learned, don't we? We've got to acknowledge, first of all, that we've learned it, and then what have we learned? So I'm asking you that. That's your question. I'm putting you to work tonight. What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about your world from the past 15 months? Go. I could sit here and chat. See, I have a theory that if we don't plan on our new normal, we're going to get the old normal back. With all of the things that were right about it, and all of the things that were wrong about it. So, what's up? Let's start with what you've learned. What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about who you are and who you want to be? What have you learned about your strengths and your weaknesses? Talk to me. Thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer's learned that the relationships in her life are more important than anything. Oh, yes, and you have some wonderful ones. But that I must have certain boundaries or be overwhelmed. Good lesson. Powerful lesson. Are you willing now to establish those boundaries? Gracefully. And to explain to people why you need them, so that they don't think you've suddenly turned into Witch Hazel. The technical department is amused.
Witch Hazel. I love that.
Kirk has learned that his resilience is far more powerful than I realized, and that my family is my source of strength and hope. And I feel that my normal is guided by my connection to family and spirit. Hip, hip, hooray. Mr. Honore. Hip, hip, hooray. Not only is your resilience far more powerful than you realize, but your plumbing skills are much better than you thought as well, aren't they? We're all proud of you. Yeah, Jennifer. Yeah, you see, I think a good lesson for all of us is that we have to remain vigilant. It is so easy to fall back into the old patterns, isn't it? I did a tarot reading for someone today, and one of her big questions is, am I going backwards, or am I really accomplishing something? And the cards basically said you are going beautifully forward, but don't fall into the temptation of falling back on not knowing, not being aware. Don't go there, because if you do, you won't make any progress. And don't we all want to make progress? Don't we want our lives to be better, bigger, better, stronger? Yes, Brenda, you are strong and knowing. I'm so glad you know that about yourself. Now hold on to it. Hold on to it. I am strong. I am knowing. I am powerful. I can do this. I can overcome this. That's what to know. To realize how powerful you really are. Okay, Jennifer, here's a challenge for you. Because it's just the mood I'm in tonight. Be careful, everybody. You say, I think I'll actually be more present than before for those closest to me. Fabulous. Wonderful affirmation. Take the I think off and just say, I'll actually be more present than before for those closest to me. And for myself, and for others. Just be more present. It's the power of living now. Not next week when we have that meeting or that thing that's coming up. Fine, set aside time to plan for that. But for now, be here now. Thank you, Eckhart Tolle. Be here now. No, that was Ram Dass. Same idea. Knowing and strong, that's my Brenda. And healing and overcoming my challenges. In fact, let's not even mention challenges. Brenda, you have an inner strength that is amazing. Just amazing. I've watched you for a long time now. And you have had more than your share of challenges. And you overcome them. You are powerful. Much more than I think you know and acknowledge. And I'd like you to acknowledge that. I'd like you to be aware of it because the more aware of it you become, the more of it you will experience. Thank you, Jennifer. Yay. Present in your own life. Okay, Kirk, we will miss you, but keep thinking while you're handling that, will you? There's Heidi. Okay, Heidi, the question is, what have you learned about yourself, about your world, about life in the past 15 months? Hmm? I'm letting you guys do most of the work tonight just because I'm in the mood for that. But I can sit back and have a sip and let you do the work. It's been a busy day. I'm not complaining. It's been a good, busy day. We literally just finished taping my Sunday Unity talk at 5 minutes to 6.
Yes.
Yes, she says. The voice over there. The voice over there then picked up everything at 6 o'clock and did her hour-long interview show with Diane Wing, who has written a wonderful book on tarot. And then at about 5 minutes to 7, I picked up everything, and here we are. So it's been a busy couple of hours around here. The pets are all kind of going, what's going on? Where are they going now? What are they doing? And somehow in there, they got fed. So we done good. We done good. But I've decided you should do most of the work tonight. So talk to me. What have you learned? I've got a second question. So I need you thinking about the first one and getting into it. What have you learned about yourself? About your world? About your thinking in the past 15 months? How has this pandemic educated you? What education have you gained from it? Resilience. Ooh, good word, Heidi. Yeah. Resilience. And what does resilience look like to you? You didn't think I was going to let you get away with one word, did you? Come on, you're a bright lady who knows how to use her words well. Talk to me. What does resilience look like to you? And Brenda, what does strength look like to you? And Jennifer, what does presence look like to you? And those of you who are just kind of listening and watching and not jumping in, jump in. I don't bite too hard. Leadership. Yes, Jennifer. Yes. Yes. I'll double down on that one for you. Yes. Good, strong, positive, well thought out, consideration for everyone leadership. That's your style. That's your style. And I'm proud of you. I've watched you step up to that this year. And but what about the rest of you? You don't have to come on and tell everybody, wow, Kirk, you're back. Whatever that was, you sure fixed it. That was faster than the plumbing even. I'm proud of you, sir. I am. Well, you said you only had to drop out for a minute. Here you are. So Kirk, what does greater resilience mean to you? How's that showing up in your life? For all of you, how is this showing up in your life? Good, Jennifer. I like your definition of presence. I like it very much. Knowing what is happening. So you have to be aware. You have to be awake. You have to be paying attention and acting on it. Yeah, because it's more than just going, oh, look at that, isn't it? But it's if it needs action, being prepared to be the action, the activity. Heidi, I just don't know why they keep dropping you in and dropping you out. Darn it. Yeah, resilience. What does that look like, darling? What does that look like to you? Great, Jennifer. That's leadership activity. It's leadership in action. And I think we've kind of passed the time when we can just sit back and watch. I think we are being called to take action. I know. I hear the groans. I'm already too busy. I'm already doing too much. That's me. But I think we have to. We're going to have to make room in our lives to be more involved in the aspects of our lives, if that makes any sense. Okay, Jen, you're dropping in and out too. I don't know what's going on. I really am. I promise, I promise, I promise. This week I'm going to look into Zoom and see if maybe we can do that instead. Because there's been a lot of dropping out lately, and I don't know if it's just that we're on a busy time for Facebook and they're in overload. I don't know. I don't think it's anything on our end because it doesn't drop out for me. Um, and when you watch the video, it's all there. I think. I'll double check that. Adapting and moving forward. Good girl. Good girl. And I think a lot of that also, if I may, suggests that there are things we can adapt to that are just changes, life changes. As long as we keep moving forward in alignment with our values and our goals and what our principles, then that kind of adaptability is precious. Precious. Poor Kirk. All he wants to do is get home. Yeah. And Brenda, you are strong. Stronger than you realize. I know that. And sometimes we just have to keep on keeping on until we don't anymore. I know it gets tiring. I recognize that. There are days when we just want to say, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be strong. I don't want to adapt. I don't want to have to keep working with people who aren't thinking. But you know, they're out there and they walk among us, and they've got challenges too. And our job as leaders, especially as spiritual leaders, is to answer when we're called. It just is. Jennifer, you're a good wife. Kirk, she wants you to be safe, so don't try to answer my questions while driving. Okay? You can always catch up with me later. We can't catch up with you later if you're not there. So take care of you, please. Please. Okay, let me pose the second question. Oh, Kirk is saying I haven't answered the first one yet. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. I just threw in an extra one. What does that look like to you? But let me talk about the second question. And I'm going to repeat it exactly as I said it the first time for those of you that were getting ready. I don't want to change it on you. Since regardless of what some say they want, we really can't step in the same river twice. We can't really go back to the old normal. Things have changed, haven't they? So, what would you like the new normal to look like? This is a dreamer question, a visionary question. What would you like the new normal to look like? At work, in your family, in your life, in your thinking, in your spirituality. I'm not setting the stage for you here. You can put the new normal wherever you'd like it to be. I'm just curious about what you would like it to look like. What changes would you make in the world, your family, your office, your spiritual community? What changes would you make if you had a magic wand? Hmm. Interesting statement, Heidi. Finding it more difficult now. And you're right. In the beginning, it was a challenge. What am I supposed to be doing? What can I do? What shall I do? Where's a mask? What kind of mask? Yeah. Um, and now there seems to be a light, God willing. Um, and everybody does seem to want to just get it over with, don't they? Don't we? Um, and yes, I think there's an anxiousness that comes with that. It's I find myself wondering if we're moving too fast, if we need to slow down just a little bit and think. Um, is it really safe to take off our masks and go out in public, even if we've been inoculated? Um, a lot of questions. A lot of questions. And I think we can look to the rest of the world and recognize that, we not only is no man an island, no nation is an island unto itself. We are all affected by what is going on in the rest of the world. We can't help but be. So, assuming, I can't even go there. Assuming that we stay on the same path and keep going in the same direction, and that enough of us are vaccinated that we have herd immunity. I hate being thought of as a herd. Then what? Then what? How do you envision the new normal? What what do you envision us going to instead of going back to? Beautiful. Beautiful, Jennifer. Beautiful. It's the new kindness that she's seen in people to continue. I like that. And I too hope that people will mask up. I mean, we've got them now. We might as well keep them and use them. when they are under the weather so they don't spread what they've got. The statistics on the flu this year are phenomenal. We forget that people die from the flu. But even if they didn't, even if all you did was get really, really sick, and we've all had that experience, wouldn't it be wonderful if everybody, when they thought they might have something or be coming down with something, put a mask on so they didn't share it? Like I said, we don't even have to go out and buy them. We've got them now. Let's use them. Yeah, I like outdoor dining too. I've always liked outdoor dining. I just like it even more now. Good starters.
We can create prayer flags by hanging all of our masks, on a line, and we just have these colorful
prayer flags made out of our masks. Well, yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Sure.
Normal is ever changing, Heidi. You're absolutely right. And we don't know what it would be like, but if you could wave a magic wand and create whatever you wanted, what changes would you make? Jennifer says so many things that started with the pandemic are such time savers. I think that's true. I think a lot of good has come out of the pandemic. I mean, certainly a lot of fear and a lot of death, all of that. But a lot of good too. I think where people are involved, where thinking, caring people are involved, good happens regardless of what the situation is. And I think we have seen that. I was reminded the other day of 9/11. And the good that came from that. Some of you will remember we started a new commitment program the Sunday after 9/11. I mean, literally, when it happened, and the next Sunday, we were starting a commitment program, which, interestingly enough, was based on the 30s and the 40s, and we were doing an old-time radio show, which just was the perfect setting for what had gone on. And as part of that, Lloyd Cooper, our music director at the time, Lloyd and Barbara, had gone back to New York. And he was writing home, so we were getting letters from New York, from Lloyd, talking about the kindness and the love and the caring in the Big Apple immediately after 9/11. And how people were different with each other. And how kind they were being, and how thoughtful everyone was. I'll never forget that. I mean, here we were on the other coast, and I think a certain amount of that leaked over to us. But I had never thought of New York as being a kind and caring place, and Lloyd was just bowled over by it and kept writing about it. And I shared those letters with everyone as we came together on Sundays. Good came out of that as well. Hard to imagine, but it did. So what does your new normal look like? Huh? What would you, and perhaps it contains some of the things that have happened. We've talked about some of them already, haven't we? Let the kindness continue. Keep your mask handy. Let's eat outdoors more. In the fresh air. Let us enjoy that together. And Jennifer says it fosters community, and I think that's very true. Good going, guys. I don't dislike your ideas at all. I think the problems that we had going into the pandemic, for the most part, we've still got. They're systemic, and we need to do something about them. Seth Godin says systemic problems demand systemic solutions. So we have to show up. And we have to work constantly toward it, and it takes some time and energy. So, in this new normal, whatever it looks like, who do you want to be? Who are you willing to be? Will your life be a memorial to what matters? I believe that there is a perfect pattern within each one of us, and sometimes it takes a tragedy. Sometimes it takes what appears to be a great evil for that pattern to be revealed. Sometimes it just takes chaos. Wizard of Oz was kind of like that, wasn't it? It took all the chaos and all the problems and the wanting to get home and all of the roadblocks and detours to make each of them realize that they already had everything that they needed to get where they wanted to go. I would wish that kind of knowledge for each one of us. That we come to the realization that we already have within us everything we need to get where we want to go. We have been awakened by this thing, haven't we? Kind of knocked out of our complacency and our doldrums and our little things to an awareness of how powerful we can be, of how fragile life can be. We've been awakened. And I believe that we are right now in a state of higher awareness and higher consciousness. We have to get out of sometimes where we are to see how things are and to see how we may be outside of the way it is. Rumi wrote, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. We are, I think, in a state of awakened awareness. It's a good place to pray. So let us take a moment. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or simply soft focus unless you're Kirk and you're driving, in which case we're going to ask you to just listen. And know that you are surrounded by and immersed in and fully expressing the creative motivating force of the universe, God, Spirit. It is all that there is. It is all that you are. There's nothing else to be. And the universe is calling each one of us to step up, to recognize who we are and what we are, and to use that to create a better world. We begin with ourselves. We begin with caring for one another. It doesn't end there. There will always be more, and that's good. And I know that since we are what we are, since we are spirit expressing, that the words that we speak and the claims that we make a difference and are creative. And that as we speak those words, something in the universe responds and sends back to us the image of that which we have claimed. And that image becomes part of our reality. And so I know for Brenda, strength and wholeness. I know for Heidi, resilience. I know for Jennifer, leadership. And I've lost my little sidebar. I know for each of you that which you have claimed, and so much more. I know that that is only a beginning. Only a beginning. And for those that are not with us tonight, I know healing and wholeness and truth revealed, strength, power, presence. I know for Dana healing, and I know for her son the experience of wholeness and wellness. There's so much more we can pray for. But I simply know that those who have requested prayer find their prayers answered because they have opened a door behind which there is only good. I know that we are spiritually creative beings, and that which we claim is the new normal. And I know that the faith that we have in our own power and the presence of spirit within us is justified and realized. I see peace in the world and peace in our hearts. I don't have to know how. I see healing of all dis-ease, and I don't have to know how. I see the end of violence. I see the end of mass shootings. I see the end of people taking their personal anxieties out of the life of others. And I don't have to know how. That which created the universe of nothing, out of nothing, knows. And that is all I need to know. And so there is peace, and there is healing, and there is love, and there is kindness, and there is resilience, and there is power. A power for good in the universe, and we use it. I'll ask you now to repeat this closing after me. The universe is calling.
The universe is calling.
We are here to answer the call.
We are here to answer the call.
With spiritual truth.
With spiritual truth.
With spiritual action.
With spiritual action.
And with love.
And with love.
We are here.
We are here.
To be agents of change.
To be agents of change.
In our lives.
In our lives.
In our communities.
In our communities.
And in our world.
And in our world.
And so it is.
And so it is.
I am so grateful for the power of prayer, for your presence, for your caring, for the difference that you have made in the world, and the difference you will yet make. I love you all. Jennifer Cack will help you with that non-barking dog thing. Reiki's a good thing. Reiki's a good thing. It creates a lot of good in the world. Heidi, you're brilliant. I'll just leave it at that. We have dealt with so much this year. Let us not go back to the way that it was. But let us create a new normal, filled with love, appreciation, kindness, caring, and whatever else your heart desires. So you have work to do, as do I. You have a world to make new. No time like the presence to get started. I love you. I'll see you all on Sunday at noon, same time, same place. In the meantime, know that you go with God, because in fact you can go no other way. And so it is.